Am I the antagonist for telling my fiancé's stepmother that my fiancé didn't want her engagement ring after she continuously pressured me to propose with it? So I proposed to my girlfriend of 10 years last month. We had discussed getting engaged before and what we wanted that to look like and what we wanted marriage to look like for us. One thing my fiancée Kaylee was upfront about was she would love to have her mom's engagement ring. Her maternal grandparents had it since her mom was terminally ill. She had wanted it saved for Kaylee. And Kaylee loved the idea of having her mom's ring because it was something her mom designed. She never said I had to, but I knew how much it meant to her. She was also clear that she did not want her dad's wife's, Ruth's, ring. Kaylee does not like Ruth. She doesn't view her as a stepmother or a real parent to her. She tolerates her because she does not want to lose her dad. But she said she would rather get engaged without a ring than have the one from Ruth. I always knew she didn't think much of the woman, so it came as no surprise to me, and I always knew I would turn it down if offered, even before Kaylee said anything, because her feelings on her were clear. So here's the issue. I got the ring back in November and started planning the proposal. Around the end of November, Ruth was questioning if I had plans to propose. She asked me directly when I saw her one day, and I said Kaylee and I had talked about it. She mentioned giving me her ring and I told her thank you, but that wouldn't be necessary. And what followed was a solid 6 weeks of this woman trying to make me take the ring so I could propose. She never even got confirmation that I was proposing, but she was adamant. I started shopping in different stores to avoid her entirely. I thought proposing would be the end to Ruth's pressure. But she confronted me after the engagement and asked me why I rejected her ring, but used the other one. I told her Kaylee dreamed of her mom's ring. I was then scolded for referring to Kaylee's mom as her mom. Ruth told me she has been mothering Kaylee since she was 6, and she has been there for her every step of her life since, and she would have wanted her ring more. She told me I was selfish for denying Kaylee that. I told her that Kaylee didn't want her ring, and it should come as no surprise that Kaylee wanted her mom's ring when her mom has been gone for a long time. Ruth then starts on a rant about how she's my future mother-in-law and the future grandmother of our children, and I should be careful how I speak to her because our kids do not deserve to grow up around such tension. She stormed off and complained to Kaylee's dad. He and Kaylee talked about it. Kaylee apologized for Ruth being over the top and told me I did the right thing. But some of Kaylee's paternal family believe I was wrong, and that I am helping keep the gap between Kaylee and Ruth, when in an ideal world, I would encourage Kaylee to be more accepting of Ruth by treating Ruth with more respect and acting as though she's my mother-in-law. It doesn't help that Ruth is still saying I was so rude. Am I the asshole here? You absolutely did the right thing, because you listened to your future wife and did what she asked. It sucks that the rest of the family are ganging up on you, but seriously? Just tell them that you were proposing and you got to decide how to do it. Their input is neither needed nor necessary in this situation. Am I the antagonist for asking my brother what he expects me to do regarding his daughters and stepdaughter? My brother was widowed young and had 2 girls at the time. They were 3 and 4 when their mom died. When they were 7 and 8, my brother married his second wife, and he also became a stepfather to his wife's 7-year-old daughter. For the sake of making the post a little easier, my nieces will be Mia, 14, and Ella, 13, and my stepniece will be Katie, 13. About once a month I have all 3 girls for a day of fun. I live near a water park and I take my small kiddos, so taking the girls is easy, and it was a tradition that started with Mia and Ella and later included Katie when my brother became her stepfather. That's something that still continues today. My brother has mentioned to me that he and his wife are concerned that Mia and Ella don't consider Katie their sister and really only tolerate her. This has come from comments Katie made to her mom about feeling like an only child still and feeling as though Ella and Mia don't really want her hanging out with them, and that they only say yeah because they don't want to get into trouble for excluding her. My brother mentioned that Ella and Mia never fight with Katie, but they never seem to have a great time with her either. He said even when Ella and Mia are fighting, neither will go to Katie to hang out. They do their own thing or hang with friends. And when they're together, they will hang out and Katie only joins if she asks them. They never ask her or make the effort to include her. My sister-in-law told me Ella and Katie should get along way better than they do. She told me Ella doesn't show any interest in Katie that way though, despite them liking the same things. Both my brother and sister-in-law said they try to cultivate the individual relationships with Katie by taking Ella or Mia out someplace with her, but that it doesn't seem to make Ella or Mia any closer to her. If anything, they go along with it out of obligation. My brother told me that Ella and Mia don't even notice when Katie goes home to her dad sometimes. Katie splits her time between her mom and her dad. So she'll be there for a week, and then she's with her dad for a week. He said he never even realized how little attention they pay to Katie until recently. They did realize the closeness wasn't there, but just the level at which they really don't notice her is alarming to them. He then told me I need to help them out more with this. And his request confused me because I already take all 3 for a fun day out once a month, and I have babysat for them on occasion. I'm just not sure what he expects from me when I have my own kids. I told him that. I asked him what exactly he expected me to do, and he told me I should know what he expects, and I should be a little more willing to help so Katie doesn't feel like she's on her own. He told me I was intentionally being obtuse. It became more tense than I expected, and it made me wonder, am I the asshole for asking him that? Not the antagonist. Your brother and his wife need to work towards their issues together. It's not your responsibility to fix their problems. He got defensive because he can't answer and wants to deflect responsibility. It's not your job to magically solve their bonding issues. Am I the antagonist for being willing to state out loud that I cannot stand my husband's children? I met the man who would become my husband, Bryce, when I was 22 and he was 30. I had just graduated from college and was extremely optimistic and naive. I was not a fully formed adult and didn't know anything about the world. I was the poster child of having my kindness taken for weakness. Bryce's wife had just died and he had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Bryce bombed me like nothing I could have ever imagined. He put me on a pedestal and made me believe that I would be the one to save him and his children. I knew absolutely nothing about the world or manipulative people, so I fell for it fully. Bryce said as his wife he didn't want me to have to work, and he wanted me to enjoy life as a stay-at-home mother. I didn't have that much experience with children, so I had zero idea what that entailed. Fast forward 4 years of Bryce, expecting me to do everything related to household chores, childcare, scheduling, family obligations, holidays, and everything else that comes with it. His repeated refrain is that he's the only one that works and he's supporting 4 people on his back. He controls all the money, gives me the bare minimum for necessities, and if I need or ask for anything more than that, he expects me to earn it with favors. My love for Bryce has turned to hate, and I will never be able to forget all that he has done to me, and I have tried many times to forgive it, but it hasn't taken yet. He has been able to guilt-trip me with his children. According to him, I'm the only mother they know or remember. The problem is that Bryce has encouraged the children to disrespect me and never allowed me to discipline them or even make any decisions regarding them. Instead, I had to treat them as a mini king and queen. You can imagine what their behavior is like, and even besides this, they both had severe behavioral issues before I came into the picture, which he hid from me. Particularly the 8-year-old boy, his behavioral issues are getting really scary, and he might get kicked out of school. I do my best for these children, and I have tried everything I can to change how I feel, and I go through the motions doing an acting job of loving them like my life depends on it. But I cannot stand these children. I dread when they come home from school even more than I do Bryce. The problem is these children truly do love me and see me as their mother, and I've been guilt-tripped, not only by Bryce, but all his relatives and even some of my relatives, not to abandon them. The thing is, I truly can't stand them at this point, and it's not right for them to grow up in a home with a mother who can't stand them. I finally came out with this to all the adults who were coming at me because I couldn't stand keeping quiet on it anymore, and now they are acting like I'm the monster of the century for saying something like that. Being bitter, mistreated, manipulated, and exploited is not the way to spend your life. It doesn't matter what these people say. They see their family members being served by you, and that's their priority. Your happiness was never, is not, and never will be their priority. Their judgments mean nothing. Look, you gotta realize that the person manipulating you has manipulated everyone else who knows them. Oh, say they're saying you're a monster, for the same reason you got with him in the first place. Like you said, now you aren't so naive. Bryce is just using you for free childcare with benefits. I saw my sister cheat on her boyfriend and now I'm stuck. My stepsister, female 24, and her boyfriend, male 27, have been together for about 2.5 months. I've only met the guy twice. He's pretty introverted, so I haven't been able to get a great feel for him. But he's a nice guy, has a good job, and treats my sister very well, which makes this situation even worse. 2 weekends ago, me, my sister, and her best friend, who I'm close to as well, went to a show about an hour and a half away. We had pit tickets, so when we got there we got drinks and stood for a few minutes trying to get a feel for the crowd. As the opening band began to play, a group of guys filled in behind us. There were 4 of them, all tall and pretty handsome. One of them complimented her best friend's tattoo, and we started talking in kind of merged groups. There was one who seemed interested in my sister, and they started talking. As they were talking, she had pretty flirty body language, laughing, smiling, touching his arm. She's a very outgoing person and this isn't totally out of the norm for her, so I kind of looked the other way. However, as the night went on, they kept talking, and they got closer until he was standing behind her with his hands on her hips and her hands on his like couples do at shows. The group was pretty drunk at this point, so it felt like I was the only one noticing. I made eye contact with her and tilted my head as to ask what she was doing. She smiled and separated herself from him. Whatever, a momentary lapse of judgment, I was willing to call it over. However, an hour later I was in line for the bathroom, and I saw them in an area towards the back with her hands wrapped around his neck and his hands on her hips, talking and laughing in this embrace. Not proud to say I froze, then elected to stay in line and use the bathroom. When I got back to the group, they were gone. They returned about an hour later. What happened in that hour I have no idea, but I just feel like it was nothing good. The drive home was quiet as the girls had drank a lot. I dropped them off and haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. So obviously I need to tell him. Like I said before, I don't know him well, but he seems like a good dude. Here's the thing though, I don't have any contact information for him. The only thing I know is where he works and his hours. I don't really want to show up at his work with life-changing news. So like I said, I'm feeling very stuck. My sister is genuinely a good person, and I love having her in my life. But I can't just pretend this didn't happen. If you're feeling conflicted about whether or not to intervene in your sister's relationship, it might be best to just ask her directly. Jumping to conclusions or getting involved without all the information could potentially backfire and make things more difficult for you in the future. Remember, it's only been 2 months and they may not even be exclusive yet. It's important to consider the potential consequences before taking any action. Wife cheated on me. We got engaged 7 years into our relationship. When I found out that she was having an affair, as per her, she was just overwhelmed and wasn't really planning on cheating. This guy was really into her, looked at her like a goddess of some sort, so she eventually flirted with him. When I found out, she confessed that they only kissed. So I forgave her and let her know that she needs to stop replying to this guy, which was her workmate. She said she would. 1 month after getting married, I caught her texting with the guy again. She explained that her friends of 9 years from work left her and felt alone and needed someone to talk to about her loneliness at work. I told her if you ever need to talk to, I'm here, so I told her again to stop. She was only seeing the guy as a friend, and the guy accepted that she was married. After a few weeks, the guy wanted a closure from my wife so he wouldn't bother her anymore. At first, my wife was reluctant cause she gave him closure every time I caught them, which she provided some evidence. The guy asked her to talk to her privately so he can express everything and close his feelings for her once and for all. He asked if they could meet at a motel since that's the most private place they could talk. My wife refused because there was a potential something could happen, but the guy assured her that he will not do anything and will only ask for a hug. Wife trusted him and gave her a chance to finally put end to things since that was the time the guy asked for closure. Other ones were my wife ending it. After talking, the guy suddenly kissed her and touched her. My wife said no, but he kept saying please. Eventually, when the guy asked if he could put it in, my wife said no multiple times, but he refuses to stop and kept persuading her. She explained that she let her do it just to get it over with since she wanted to come home. She also said she afraid of fighting back, that she can't say things on her mind. She just stopped saying no and the guy assumed it was okay. At this point, I still don't know what happened. Months went by when I finally caught her. She went to the office and accessed her work computer to check if she was still talking to her. And to my surprise, they still are. I confronted her about it and she said didn't know, she was sort of like in denial of the sex because she didn't want to feel being raped or coerced. I asked her the reason why is HSRR talking to him even after what he did to her. She said she was in denial and just wanted to talk to him as a friend. Should I stay? Yes or no? Dude, if you buy her hotel story, I have a bridge to sell you. Are you sure that the story she told you is true? A motel is not the only place to talk privately, and certainly most people wouldn't go to a motel with someone for the purpose of just talking. Then she continues to talk to him behind your back and gives you a pretty sketchy excuse that she's in denial about what happened. Bail on this cheater already. She has no intention of stopping and is just going to continue lying to you. My girlfriend gave out her Instagram to a guy at the club. I'll preface this by saying that we have been together for about 2 years and we've had an extremely strong bond, shared countless struggles, and pretty much have known that we will definitely marry each other one day. Throughout the relationship, I've had almost zero trust issues with her, and she's always been very open about all of her friends, who she's talking to, her location, when she gets home, etc. If anything, I am a bit insecure due to the scars of past relationships, and often she would go out of her way to calm these insecurities by doing things like sending me pics and calling me when she goes out without me, and stuff like that. So when sometimes she doesn't reply for a bit or after she goes out without me, I'll glance at her Instagram followers due to my insecurities, and I've never seen anything worrisome up until this past weekend. Some additional context: more recently, last 3-4 months, the relationship has been rockier than usual, with more fighting over minor things and stress over some financial issues and inability to spend more time with her just because of work, being busy with other life stuff. But she's still been very supportive despite any issues in my life. Anyways, this past weekend she's visiting another city with a few friends I'm unable to do to work. And basically after one of the nights that she went out, I checked her Instagram and saw that she was pretty drunk in one of her stories. I also noticed that she had a new follower and was following him back. Relatively attractive, tall, muscular dude. She took somewhat of a pause and said that it was a guy that asked for her number at the club. Obviously, I expressed my displeasure with this, and she removed him, but in my mind, the damage was done. During the call, she kept saying that nothing happened between them and that the guy just came and danced near her and her friends. She said her and the guy talked for about 5 minutes, and then he asked for her number. She said no. The guy asked for her Instagram and she gave it to him. I asked why, and especially why she followed him back, and she said she really wasn't thinking, and she honestly couldn't answer the question about why she said yes to the Instagram. Her only reason was that she was drunk. She didn't really try to gaslight me or defend her actions. She expressed she was very sorry right away over and over on the call and unfollowed him right away. I just told her that trust was broken and my view of her had changed and that I needed time. We talked after a few days and she maintains that she doesn't know what she was thinking and that the guy was just showing off so much while talking that she just wanted to see if what he was saying was true. She got very emotional at the thought of losing me and said she'd stop drinking, never go out without me, etc. Anyways, even in the best case scenario where nothing except the Instagram exchange happened, I just feel completely different and turned off now, struggling between seeing this through or moving on. My self-respect seems kinda at stake, and I'm just broken because she was special to me and didn't think she'd ever talk to some guy hitting on her for even 5 minutes, and then give him access to her social media. Part of me thinks I'm making too big of a deal out of this because it is a recent emotional reaction, but part of me believes making the hard decision and leaving her is best. Would you stay and try to regain trust or leave and move on, and why? Yeah, I hate when people use getting drunk as an excuse for cheating. If you're not happy in your relationship, just leave instead of going out and hooking up with random people in clubs. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.